think the kicking competition is shaping up for you? It's like some high-pressure situations at the end.
Yeah, they were a little. They've actually been really good. They were a little inconsistent today. We chart everything. We chart the time, the operation when they need to get it off in 1, 2, 5. They've been pretty consistent. But we chart them all. We chart every kick in practice. We do a kickoff after practice. Kickoff, trying to get the ball in the end zone with a certain hang time. And then same thing with punting, and they've all been doing pretty good. But I think it's a pretty good competition between those two guys right now.
What about the left tackle position, James? You have some new faces there. Can you tell us how this?
Yeah, it's still uncertain. Nobody has kind of grabbed a hold of the spot. We're going to have to make a decision here. Are we moving some guys around to get the best 5 on the field? But we're not at that point yet. We haven't even had the first scrimmage, but no one's grabbed the hold of the job. Guy who's making a move right now has had a really good camp, and we're real happy with, is Wendy Laurent. Wendy's done really well. At guard, he's done well. At center, he's done well. So that's a guy that's going to create a little bit more flexibility for us as well.
What kind of confidence do you think he gained last year when he was forced in there to play, when you guys had to move some guys around up front?
Yeah, I think playing in general, playing experience helps. It helped him. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But he's just been different. He's been so much more competitive in the off season. Really think his commitment level is at a really high level right now. I've just been pleased. To be honest, he looks like a different guy. I've been really, really pleased with him. He's in consideration, fighting for a starting job right now. And I don't know if I would have said that before camp. He's opened some eyes. I'm really proud of him.
Well, what is the biggest difference you see right now compared to the spring?
For who? The whole team
for
or
the whole team? Anything that jumps to mind?
Yeah, I think the offense is having a lot more success right now. Again, we don't have everything in. They're not seeing blitzes every down from our defense and things like that. But the offense is having more success than we've had. The depth in the competition is dramatically different. We got a bunch of young players making plays that are in consideration for playing time, probably more than we had last year. And the practices are just on a completely different level in terms of competition, in terms of leadership, in terms of how physical we're able to be. We've had more live periods this year. Not a lot. Like today we did that one live period where you guys were able to see a little bit of the end of it. Just different. We weren't able to do that last year. So I think you do a better job of evaluating how guys are really going to play in those situations.
More specifically with the running backs, depth and competitiveness, how have you seen with them thus far?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd put all those guys kind of, in a bag right now. And that's Akil as well. I think Akil, Mark, I think Nick, I think Saquon's in the conversation as well. I think those guys right now are all fighting to figure out who's going to be number 1, who's going to be number 2, who's going to be number 3. And it's a really good competition right now. So it's going to be interesting to evaluate it.
Do you have a timeline at this point in terms of when you want to make some of these decisions at positions, or are you going to wait until a week of, or what's that look like?
Yeah, usually when we break into scout teams is usually kind of when we get in. That's usually about 2 weeks before the game or a week and a half before the game. You'll start to have some guys that obviously are showing that you're moving from 4th team reps to 3rd team reps to 2nd team reps, getting them some reps with some of the first team guys, and you're kind of moving guys around based on what they're doing and if they've earned it. But yeah, you're not going to make final decisions probably for at least another week.
And do you have an idea, you do have an idea, but how does Paris look compared to the spring, and do you feel like he's coming along in what you wanted to see out of him at this point?
Yeah, I think he's improved. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's more confident, but he's probably playing in a lot of ways like some of the offensive linemen played last year. Tentative, not as confident, not as aggressive as we want to be. So you see those guys that all played last year, they're playing like that now. They're playing with more confidence. They're more aggressive. They're more sudden in their movements, and he's not right now. He's not playing with that type of confidence, which I guess is expected to a degree. We just got to speed up his maturation as much as we possibly can.
Is it a big step up physicality-wise compared to a year ago at this time because of the lack of depth last year?
Yeah, I think everything is different. How we're practicing, the length of practice, the competitiveness in practice, the physicality of practice, all those things. You know, we're not old school where we're going live all day long. You know, but just in general, the way we're able to practice and the reps that we're able to get done, the way we're able to evaluate them, it's night and day. It's not even close.
James, is there any redshirt freshmen taking a bigger step forward than maybe you thought they would have so far?
Tompkins has made a really nice move. He's the guy that's kind of jumped out to me. You know, he's probably the guy that jumps out in my mind right now. Probably him and Mark Allen. Those two guys probably have jumped out to me as much as anybody.
We've heard a lot about Tompkins, but what about Mark Allen? What is the difference for him from last year to this year in camp?
You know, I hate to keep giving you guys the same answer, but you know, those guys last year when they didn't really know the plays inside and out, now this year they know them and they're able to play fast and they're able to play aggressive. Mark Allen, just in general, he just brings something to our team and he brings something to our practices. His energy and his enthusiasm and his confidence, it's infectious. And everybody loves him and feeds off him. You know, but he's done extremely well. I'd say really all those redshirt running backs, you know, have done a nice job. I think Nick's done a nice job.
When you look at your true freshmen, the receivers with Polk and Juwan Johnson, noticeably is one of your biggest guys. How have they been doing so far? I mean, I'm sure it's probably a lot to grasp coming in.
You know, what's funny is everybody talks about Juwan and you know, but him and Irving are basically the exact same measurements. You know, both big, strong, physical guys, and they're doing really well. Polk can run. It's clearly obvious he can run. You know, he's a little bit behind in some other areas right now, probably very similar to Tompkins last year. But you know, I think Juwan and Irving have both opened a bunch of eyes, you know, across the board. You know, I think defensively, you know, Windsor's been really impressive. He's been really impressive. John Reed's been really impressive. So there's a bunch of those young guys. You know, it's been exciting. It's been fun to watch them fly around and compete.
How have some of the older players reacted to the increased competition over last year? Because I think last year this time there wasn't nearly as many battles for jobs, and then how they reacted to that sort of pressure from the younger ones.
Yeah, I think it's different. But you know, again, just because of the way the dynamics of our team, you got the seniors, and then you got a bunch of freshmen and sophomores. You know, so although those guys are competing, you know, not most of them aren't necessarily competing with seniors. But yeah, I think the guys that have been in this program and have been established, they're handling it well. I think they've really taken those young guys under their wing. I wouldn't necessarily say that the seniors that have established themselves in the program are being threatened right now by freshmen, but I do think they notice the depth. They appreciate the depth because they're taking less reps in practice as well, and getting some evaluations. But you know, we're still probably a year away from that standpoint where, you know, there's depth throughout. There's depth and competition throughout. The seniors are being threatened by juniors or threatened by sophomores or threatened by freshmen. Probably not at that point yet right now. There's still a gap. You got the freshmen and the sophomores, and you got, 11 seniors or whatever it is.
James, you mentioned you guys haven't scrimmaged yet. Can you walk us through kind of what the schedule is from here, when you'll start scrimmaging, and sort of how things might change now that you're a little ways in the camp?
Yeah, we've had elements of scrimmage in every practice. So we did a goal line scrimmage, I think yesterday. Today we did a third down scrimmage, but that's a 10-minute period. Saturday we'll do a situational scrimmage where we'll move the ball. So we'll go like the 25-yard line for a series. Ones against the ones for 6 reps, twos against the twos for 6. When I say 6 reps minimum. So if the series goes on for 12 plays, it'll keep going. But if the defense gets 2, 3 and outs, it's over. And then the threes will get 3 reps minimum. And then we'll put the ball back at the -5 and go backed up series. Then I think we'll go 45, -45, plus 45, plus 25, and then a goal line series. And then we'll do a live special teams period in between each one of them. That's another thing that we hadn't done in the past. We worked special teams, but we didn't do any live stuff. So the first time we did live was in a game. You know, now we're able to have more depth, so we're able to do some of those things, be able to evaluate, you know, who we really think can make plays in the return game. That's something that I think we're pretty excited about. That's, you know, an area where, as a punt returner, Tompkins and Mark Allen are battling for that job to see who can be a punt returner for us.
How is Kevin Rayner adjusting for you guys? I know it's probably a different transition than a true freshman coming in here for the first time, being that he's in a program for a bunch of years out at Stanford.
He's done a great job. We love him. He's great in the meeting rooms. Right now I would say that Mange and Wendy are ahead of him. But he's done a great job for us. He's done everything we asked him to do. He's still adjusting. I could see him making a move here in the next week or two as he's getting adjusted.
What have you seen from Adam Brenneman thus far?
Adam's still working back. He shows flashes of really good things, but he hasn't played football in a year. So, the consistency. The consistency is what we're. Wilkerson's a guy that's really made a move. You guys have heard me talk about Carl Nass a bunch. He's playing at a really high level right now. Jordan Lucas and Marcus Allen, those two guys in the back end are playing at a really high level right now. But for guys that it's their first year, after sitting out a year like Brenneman, it's inconsistency right now that we just gotta get cleaned up.
Did you get a chance to watch Zettle's video or just kept kids on with him?
Yeah, I saw that. He's had a lot of videos lately. It's been interesting.
Thanks.
He's a unique guy. Thanks, guys.
Let Brent out here one.